The Nabataeans, the desert engineers who outsmarted nature. Imagine building a thriving metropolis in one of the driest deserts on Earth, without modern plumbing or electricity. The Nabataeans did exactly that. Flourishing between the 4th century BC and AD 106, these Arabian traders carved out an empire across the sands of modern Jordan, Syria, and Saudi Arabia. Their crowning achievement was Petra, a breathtaking city sculpted directly into rose-red cliffs, proof that even in the desert, art and ingenuity could bloom. But Petra was more than a pretty facade. The Nabataeans were architectural and hydrological masterminds, engineering intricate systems of cisterns, canals, and ceramic pipelines that captured and stored every drop of rainfall. Control over water meant control over trade, and soon they dominated the incense and spice routes linking Arabia to the Mediterranean. Though eventually absorbed into the Roman Empire, the Nabataeans' ornate style, blending Greek, Egyptian, and local influences, inspired architects for centuries. Today, Petra stands not just as a tourist magnet, but as a reminder that intelligence and innovation can turn even the harshest desert into a jewel of civilization. Integrity. All the main freestanding and rock-cut monuments and extensive archaeological remains within the arid landscape of red sandstone cliffs and gorges lie within the boundaries of the property that coincide with the boundaries of the Petra National Park. The monuments are subject to ongoing erosion due to wind and rain, exacerbated in the past by wind-blown sand due to grazing animals reducing ground cover. The resettlement more than 20 years ago of the Dul tribe and their livestock away from their former seasonal dwellings in the Petra Basin to a new village at Seyhan was aimed in part at arresting this process. They are also vulnerable to flash flooding along Wadi Musa through the winding gorge if the Nabataean diversion system is not continually monitored, repaired, and maintained. The property is under pressure from tourism, which has increased greatly since the time of inscription, particularly congestion points such as the Sik, which is the main entrance to the city from the east. The property is also vulnerable to the infrastructure needs of local communities and tourists. A new sewage treatment plant has been provided within the property to the north, with the recycled water being used for an adjacent drip irrigation farming project. Further infrastructure development proposed inside the boundary includes electricity supply and substation, a community visitor center, an outdoor theater for community events, picnic areas, camping ground, and a new restaurant near the Khazar al-Bint temple, all of which have the potential to impact on the integrity of the property. Authenticity. The attributes of temple tomb monuments and their location and setting clearly express the outstanding universal. The natural decay of the sandstone architecture threatens the authenticity of the property in the long term.
The Phoenicians, the traders who taught humanity to write. If civilization had a customer service department, the Phoenicians would have been running it. These ancient seafarers, from the narrow strip of land now called Lebanon, didn't bother with sprawling empires or colossal monuments. Instead, they built something far more enduring: networks. Between about 1500 and 300 BC, the Phoenicians turned the Mediterranean into their personal trade route, ferrying timber, glass, and purple dye, once worth more than gold, and inventing a brand new way to communicate: the alphabet. Before them, writing systems were messy collections of thousands of symbols. The Phoenicians streamlined communication into a phonetic script of just 22 characters, each representing a sound. That idea spread like wildfire, eventually evolving into the Greek, Latin, and modern alphabets we use today. They also founded colonies across the Mediterranean, most famously Carthage, which later became Rome's greatest rival. Yet for all their influence, the Phoenicians left behind few words of their own. Ironically, the people who taught the world to write remain largely silent in the historical record. Phoenicia, ancient region along the eastern coast of the Mediterranean that corresponds to modern Lebanon, with adjoining parts of modern Syria. Its location along major trade routes led its inhabitants, called Phoenicians, to become notable merchants, traders, and colonizers in the first millennium BCE. The chief cities of Phoenicia, excluding colonies, included Byblos, Sidon, Tyre, and Beirut, modern Beirut. The rise and fall of the Phoenician civilization. Overview of the Phoenicians. The designation of Phoenician, Greek, Phoenix, is not known to have a reflex native to the Phoenicians. They typically identified themselves by their city-states, and it is uncertain whether or when they ever considered themselves a common people. The Amarna letters, addressed to the Egyptian court in the 15th century BCE by Phoenician and other rulers in their vicinity, make reference to Canaan, Akkadian, Kinana and Kanahi, a region roughly corresponding to Phoenicia. The oldest form of government in the Phoenician cities seems to have been kingship, limited by the power of the wealthy merchant families. Federation of the cities on a large scale never seems to have occurred, although the cities at times fell under common rule as vassals of adjacent empires. Dive into history with our latest video exploring two incredible ancient civilizations, the Nabataeans and the Phoenicians. Join us on this captivating journey through time and witness how these remarkable cultures outsmarted nature and shaped humanity. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.